Boutique mysterious fantasy, bloody against the sky. The 8 Wilderness Immortal Realms have always had a balance between good and evil since ancient times. What is right? What is evil? Facing the vastness of the world. I conquer the sky with one sword, only believing in one sword in my hand. Reader Group 579603753, brothers can add it. Keywords of the novel. Sword Master 8 Wilderness without pop-ups, Sword Master 8 Wilderness TXT Complete Collection Download, Sword Master 8 Wilderness Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Hate Arises from Love. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Hate Arises from Love. Lingshan County is one of the 18 counties under the jurisdiction of Lingfeng State. Within the city of Lingshan County, there are 3 major families. The Xiao family, the Ma family, and the Qin family. Now, as the 3 major families, the Xiao family has reached a precarious situation, and all of this has to start with the true dragon of the Xiao family. 18 years ago, the current head of the Xiao family, Xiao Qin, was delighted to have a son named Xiao Chen. It is said that when this son was born, good fortune descended from heaven, and indeed, since childhood, Xiao Chen has shown an incredible speed in cultivation. At the age of 15, he completed the foundation construction and reached the state of opening veins. Such a speed is unparalleled in the history of the entire Lingshan County. With such terrifying talent, coupled with Xiao Chen's identity as the young master of the Xiao family and his handsome appearance, Xiao Chen became the dream lover of countless girls in Lingshan County, including the eldest lady of the Qin family and Chen Muxue. As 2 of the 3 major families, Chen Muxue and Xiao Chen can be said to be the most compatible couple in everyone's eyes. However, what's surprising is that when Chen Muxue showed her love to Xiao Chen, she was rejected on the spot by Xiao Chen. Afterwards, Xiao Chen left Lingshan County alone to explore, and it has been 3 years, but there is still no news. Xiao Chen left, while Chen Muxue harbored hatred for being rejected by Xiao Chen. A month ago, after being targeted by the strongest sect in Lingshan County, Jueshan sect, Chen Muxue began to retaliate against the Xiao family. For 3 years, Chen Muxue's hatred in her heart did not diminish at all. On the contrary, this hatred had deeply imprinted in her heart. Whenever she thought of the scene of being rejected by Xiao Chen, Chen Muxue swore to destroy the Xiao family and make Xiao Chen regret it for a lifetime. Thinking of her, Chen Muxue, although not as talented as Xiao Chen, her identity and appearance are all first-class beauties. In Lingshan County, there is hardly any woman who can compare to her. She is such a proud woman from heaven, but Xiao Chen refused without showing any mercy. I still remember when I showed my love to Xiao Chen, he only said one sentence to himself, "We are not suitable for." With just one sentence, he didn't even glance at himself, and the next day, Xiao Chen left Lingshan County City. Hatred has been deeply buried in the heart for 3 years, and today, Chen Muxue has finally launched a fatal attack on the Xiao family. At this time, in the Xiao family mansion, 7 or 8 Jueshan sect disciples led by Chen Muxue, as well as the Qin family and a group of strong members of the Ma family, have surrounded the Xiao family in groups. Faced with the Qin family, the Ma family, and the attack of the Jueshan sect, the Xiao family was naturally powerless to resist. At this moment, a group of strong members of the Xiao family, led by their head Xiao Qin, looked at Chen Muxue with a serious expression. Still as beautiful as before, but beneath this beautiful appearance, there was an incomparable cruelty hidden. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Qin looked at Chen Muxue and said, "Are you really going to do that? It's been 3 years, but you still don't want to let go of our Xiao family." I had long known Chen Muxue's hatred toward Xiao Chen. Upon hearing Xiao Qin's words, Chen Muxue chuckled coldly and said, "Let it go. When Xiao Chen refused me back then, I said, one day, I will make everyone in the Xiao family die. It's impossible to let the Xiao family go, even if it's just one of their dogs, Chen Muxue will kill them all." As the words fell, Chen Muxue turned to look at a handsome young man beside her. The young man is about 20 years old, wearing a black robe with a somewhat feminine appearance. Taking the young man's arm affectionately, Chen Muxue smiled coquettishly and said, "Brother Ming, you promised me. Don't worry, Sister Muxue, the Xiao family will surely be destroyed today." Upon hearing Chen Muxue's words, Minga smiled. This Minga's full name is Shen Ming, and he is one of the top 10 disciples of the Jueshan sect. He is 28 years old this year and his cultivation has reached the beginner level of the Yellow Extreme Realm. The cultivation of martial arts starts from the realm of building foundations, followed by the realms of opening meridians, Huangji, Xianyuan, Diming-Jing, and Tianren. Each realm is further divided into beginner level, minor achievement, major achievement, minor perfection, and great perfection. At the age of 28, Shen Ming had already opened up his spiritual pulse and stepped into the level of the Yellow Extreme Realm. His talent was indeed not lacking, and no wonder he became one of the top 10 disciples of the Jueshan sect's inner sect. I like Chen Muxue in my heart, so Shen Ming came forward to help Chen Muxue solve the Xiao family. Upon hearing Shen Ming's answer, Chen Muxue's smile became even brighter, while the members of the Xiao family were completely hopeless. As the strongest sect in Lingshan County, the Xiao family is like ants in front of Jueshan sect, and can be easily destroyed. Now, although only a group of disciples such as Shen Ming have come to Jueshan sect, their cultivation strength may not be as strong as the older generation of the Xiao family. However, don't forget that there are also Ma and Chen families watching closely. Moreover, if Jueshan sect's disciples are injured today, the elder of Jueshan sect will surely come one day, and it will be a catastrophic disaster at that time. Alas, is it that the heavens are going to destroy our Xiao family? An elderly member of the Xiao family looked up and sighed. Faced with the situation before them, they couldn't see any hope. Moreover, even though the matter had come to an end, there was still no movement in the prince's mansion. Obviously, the prince's mansion had already acknowledged the fact that the Xiao family had been destroyed. Looking at the desperate gazes of the Xiao family, Chen Muxue sneered inwardly. "Xiao Chen, 3 years ago you refused me, did you ever think that it would be today?" Haha, the people of the entire Lingshan County knew that something big was going to happen today, which was that the Xiao family was going to be exterminated. This news had already spread, and just as everyone was focusing on the Xiao family's mansion, a handsome young man in white clothes and long hair came rushing from the official road outside the Lingshan County on a red flame horse. The young man has an extremely handsome appearance, with sword eyebrows and starry eyes. There is a faint calm color between his eyebrows, giving the impression of being like white clouds in the sky, without any trace of dust. The dark, ink-like long hair was tied up with a red ribbon, accompanied by a gentle breeze as it fluttered in the wind. As he rushed all the way, only a few miles away from Lingshan County, the young man looked at the familiar city road with a faint smile on his face and said, "It's been 3 years, I wonder if my father and mother are okay." As the words fell, the young man lightly pinched his legs, and the red flame horse sitting down immediately ran towards the city. After paying 10 gold coins, the young man successfully entered the city. Along the way, he looked at everything familiar around him and slowly rushed towards the direction where the Xiao family was located. 3 years have passed, and I have finally returned. That's right, the young man who entered the city at this time is the real dragon of the Xiao family, Xiao Chen, who has disappeared for 3 years. He is known as one of the most likely people to challenge the top 10 heavenly pride of Lingfeng Kingdom. After 3 years of separation, he finally returned with a faint smile on his face. Due to his handsome appearance, many women on the street were also attracted by Xiao Chen's gaze. Such a handsome and extraordinary man, they were naturally deeply attracted. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Xiao Family True Dragon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Xiao Family True Dragon. With his handsome appearance and ethereal temperament, Xiao Chen unexpectedly became the focus of attention for many women, with a hint of obsession in his eyes. For these girls, appearance is not particularly important, but the key is Xiao Chen's temperament, which seems to be innate. You can't help but be attracted to him. After going out for 3 years of training, Xiao Chen has also transformed from a 15-year-old boy to a young man over 18 years old. His former immaturity has faded away, and he rides on a red flame horse, disregarding the gaze of others around him. Now, Xiao Chen only wants to go home quickly and reunite with his parents. After 3 years of separation, his longing for his parents can be imagined. Feeling a bit impatient in his heart, just as Xiao Chen was rushing towards the Xiao family's mansion, he accidentally heard about the Jueshan sect's alliance with the 2 major families to overthrow the Xiao family, and also knew that all of this was led by Chen Muxue behind the scenes. It's not a secret, and at this moment, the Xiao family is in the final stages of survival, so naturally many people are discussing this matter. Upon learning about the family's situation, a hint of coldness flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes, but it was only for a moment before he regained his composure. Fortunately, he had returned, otherwise it would have been troublesome. Without stopping, they rushed straight towards the Xiao family mansion. At the same time, the Xiao family, who had no way out of the mansion, was also prepared to make a strong effort. Anyway, there's no way out. Instead of surrendering, it's better to fight to the death. Although the hope is slim, it's better than doing nothing. The atmosphere was very tense, and just as both sides were preparing to take action, Xiao Chen walked in with a calm expression outside the Xiao family gate. Upon hearing the footsteps, everyone's gaze turned to Xiao Chen. At first, everyone had not recognized Xiao Chen, only feeling that he was somewhat familiar. However, soon after, as a father, Xiao Qin recognized his own son and an excited expression appeared on his face, saying, "Chener. Chener." Accompanied by Xiao Qin's words, everyone present changed their faces greatly. Surprisingly, the real dragon of the Xiao family returned at this time. The Ma and Chen families had ugly faces, and they didn't expect Xiao Chen to come back at this time. Meanwhile, Chen Muxue, with the same complex expression, looked at Xiao Chen walking slowly. Still as handsome as before, no, Xiao Chen is even more handsome now than 3 years ago. His temperament is even more attractive, and a hint of obsession unconsciously appears in his eyes. However, he is soon replaced by cold hatred. Xiao Chen rejected himself, becoming the first man to refuse him. Ignoring the others, Xiao Chen walked directly to his father with an indifferent smile on his face and said, "Father. You. Chener, you. Hurry up, leave Lingshan County now, and never come back again." Originally, Xiao Qin was very surprised by Xiao Chen's return, but when he thought about the situation facing the Xiao family now, Xiao Chen's return was like falling into a trap. Xiao Chen's talent is unparalleled, but at the age of 18, how can he compete with the Jueshan sect? Therefore, before he could be happy, Xiao Qin hurriedly urged Xiao Chen to leave and even protected him behind him, preventing Chen Muxue from having a chance to harm him. Xiao Qin understood very well that anyone in the Xiao family could die, but Xiao Chen could not, because he was the true dragon of the Xiao family. As long as Xiao Chen was still alive, there was still hope for the Xiao family. I planned to cover up Xiao Chen's departure with my own life, but just as Xiao Qin was about to fight to the death, Xiao Chen lightly patted his shoulder and walked out from behind. He spoke softly, "Father, leave this to me, the child can solve it." There was no hint of nervousness in the words, and without waiting for Xiao Qin to reply, Xiao Chen walked straight to Chen Muxue. Looking at the woman who intended to destroy the Xiao family, Xiao Chen's face remained calm and composed. I actually thought about this day 3 years ago. Xiao Chen was not surprised by everything Chen Muxue did today, as he had already guessed everything. Chen Muxue was such a woman. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Chen Muxue gritted her silver teeth and said, "Even if you guessed that, what would happen? Today, Everyone in the Xiao family is going to die. Xiao Chen's indifference made Chen Wuxue furious, but at the same time, he was incredibly obsessed. He was such a man who could remain calm in the face of anything, as if everything was within his expectations. He had been like this since childhood. There is hatred and obsession intertwined in her eyes, and it cannot be denied that even now, Chen Wuxue still admires Xiao Chen in her heart, because he is the most infatuated man Chen Wuxue has ever met, like Shen Ming beside her, who cannot compare with Xiao Chen in any aspect. Seeing the complex expression in Chen Wuxue's eyes, Xiao Chen sighed lightly and said, "Do you want to know why I rejected you back then? Because when you confessed to me, you had contact with Ma Yuan, and I also knew that the reason you had a relationship with Ma Yuan was because your Chen family wanted to form an alliance with the Ma family, a woman who could sacrifice her body for profit. Do you think I would agree to her confession?" There was no excitement at all due to Chen Wuxue's actions. Xiao Chen remained calm from beginning to end. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Chen Wuxue and Ma Yuan from the Ma family camp both changed their faces. Especially Ma Yuan, as the young master of the Ma family, looked at Xiao Chen incredulously and said, You already knew. Ha, if someone doesn't know, they must not do it themselves. Upon hearing Ma Yuan's words, Xiao Chen smiled lightly. I knew about Chen Wuxue and Ma Yuan from the beginning, so Xiao Chen had no good feelings for Chen Wuxue since childhood, and naturally couldn't accept her confession. When Xiao Chen publicly exposed his relationship with Chen Wuxue, Ma Yuan's heart sank when he felt Shen Ming's sinister gaze cast. It's over now, and no one knows that Chen Wuxue is Shen Ming's woman. Now that he knows what happened back then, Ma Yuan can already predict his tragic fate. In his heart, he was frightened, and at the same time, a wave of hatred arose. It was all Xiao Chen. If it weren't for Xiao Chen, how would Shen Ming know this? With a strong killing intent in his eyes, Ma Yuan offered a large axe and rushed toward Xiao Chen, shouting angrily in his mouth. Nonsense, Xiao Chen, I'll kill you. Fiercely attacking Xiao Chen, facing Ma Yuan's attack, Xiao Chen moved his feet and dodged Ma Yuan's attack, then kicked out and hit Ma Yuan's abdomen fiercely. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, he immediately bent down and knelt in front of Xiao Chen. Looking down at Ma Yuan, Xiao Chen said calmly, Who gave you the courage to fight with me? You used to be an ant in front of me, and now you are the same. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter. 3, Chapter 3-2 Week. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3-2 Week. There was no regard for Ma Yuan at all, only the cultivation of the Kaimai realm, which was unbeatable in Xiao Chen's eyes. It should be noted that Xiao Chen, who was only 15 years old 3 years ago, had already achieved the Kaimai realm. With just one strike, he defeated Ma Yuan. At the same time, Shen Ming, who had been silent all along, finally spoke up and said, You are the real dragon of the Xiao family, the unparalleled genius who has been circulating in Lingshan County. Shen Ming has also heard of Xiao Chen's name, not only him, but also the high-ranking officials of the Jueshan sect. They couldn't help but admire Xiao Chen's talent from a young age. Originally, the high-ranking officials of the Jueshan sect were planning to take Xiao Chen as a disciple of the Jueshan sect, but unfortunately, 3 years ago, Xiao Chen went out to explore and his whereabouts were unknown, and the Jueshan sect couldn't find him. I have only heard of its name but not its person. Today, I finally see the true face of Xiao Chen. It must be said that Xiao Chen is superior to Shen Ming in all aspects, but it is precisely because of this that Shen Ming is even more unhappy, especially when he sees the complex expression in Chen Wuxue's eyes. With a cold gleam in his eyes, Shen Ming said coldly, Ma Yuan is an ant in front of you, but do you know that in front of me, you are also an ant? I don't take Xiao Chen seriously. His talent is outstanding, but he is only 18 years old this year. How high can a person's cultivation be at the age of 18? The heavenly heaven has reached the level of little perfection in the opening meridian realm, and although he is already 28 years old this year, his cultivation has already reached the beginner level of the yellow extreme realm. I dare not say in the future, but now, Shen Ming has confidence in completely abusing Xiao Chen because he has practiced for 10 more years than Xiao Chen. I was preparing to personally teach Xiao Chen a lesson, but first, a disciple of the Jueshan sect behind Shen Ming stepped forward and said, "Senior brother, why is this kid worth your own effort? Let me teach him a lesson." This person is also an inner disciple of Jueshan sect. Although his strength is far inferior to Shen Ming, his cultivation has also reached a great perfection in the realm of opening meridians. Upon hearing this person's words, Shen Ming pondered for a moment before pretending to say, "Okay, but don't kill him. Leave him a breath of anger for me." Realizing that this person could deal with Xiao Chen, upon hearing these words, this person went straight to Xiao Chen and unsheathed his long sword with a sneer on his face, saying, "Xiao family true dragon, oh, you can only show off your power in this secular land. Let's put it in our Jueshan sect. You are just an ordinary disciple. Today, let me teach you the principles of being a good person." As the words fell, the disciple stabbed out with a sword, with the tip pointing straight at Xiao Chen's throat. Seeing this, Xiao Qing behind him immediately shouted, "Chen heir, be careful. I have great confidence in my own son, but the disciples of the sect are definitely not comparable to those of Ma Yuan and others. The sect has a unique advantage in cultivation, and the people who can become disciples of the sect are strictly screened. Therefore, in the same realm, the combat power of the disciples of the sect is stronger than that of ordinary martial artists. I had no confidence that Xiao Chen could take this sword, but just as Xiao Qing finished speaking, everyone saw Xiao Chen skillfully gripping the disciple's long sword with 2 fingers. With just 2 fingers, Xiao Chen blocked the disciple's attack. Faced with this scene, everyone looked incredulous. However, before everyone could recover, Xiao Chen had already kicked the disciple out with a single kick. Still one move, even though facing disciples of the sect, Xiao Chen still defeated the enemy with one move. He defeated this person cleanly and decisively. Seeing the situation, he followed Shen Ming's other 6 disciples of the Jueshan sect and shouted angrily, "Kid, you're looking for death. How dare you harm the disciples of the Jueshan sect? No one can save you today." There was no need for face at all. 6 people besieged Xiao Chen alone, and in response, Xiao Chen also sarcastically said, "Jueshan sect, you really have the courage of a big sect, deceiving the little with the many. You can still speak so grandly today. I really learned. Seeking death." Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, the 6 disciples of the Jueshan sect shouted angrily at the same time before taking action together. Faced with the siege of 6 people, a light flashed through the Na ring in Xiao Chen's hand, and then a silver-white long sword appeared in his hand. Holding the long sword, Xiao Chen's aura instantly became fierce. If Xiao Chen had been a sharp sword that had not yet come out of its sheath, then it was already full of sharpness now. Na Jia. Shen Ming was secretly shocked to see that Xiao Chen still had Na Jia on him. This ring is not something that ordinary people can possess. Forces like the Xiao, Chen, and Ma families probably only have 1 or 2 rings in the entire family. Even if we look at the Jueshan sect, only elders and elite disciples like him can have their own rings. I never expected that Xiao Chen would also have 1 ring. Some were surprised that Xiao Chen was carrying a ring, but just as Shen Ming was shocked, he had already shown his rebellious side in front of Xiao Chen, who was besieged by 6 people. Known as the true dragon of the Xiao family since childhood, Xiao Chen not only achieved incredible speed in cultivation, but also had the same level of combat power. In the same realm, Xiao Chen has shown an invincible posture since childhood. 6 disciples of the Jueshan sect, 3 of whom have a great and perfect pulse state, and 3 of them have a small and perfect pulse state. Such a lineup is not to be underestimated, but in front of Xiao Chen, it is still not enough to see. It is just a face-to-face encounter, and both sides have already reached a high and low judgment. With the long sword in hand, I don't know what kind of sword techniques Xiao Chen is using. They are all very ordinary basic sword techniques such as piercing, picking, sweeping, etc. However, these are the basic sword techniques that everyone has practiced. In Xiao Chen's hands, it seems like they have completely changed, with their power increasing at least several times. Using basic swordsmanship to fight against the 6 inner disciples of Jueshan sect, each sword is stabbed at an extremely sharp angle, with extremely fast speed and tremendous strength. How could it be? How could basic swordsmanship have such power? A disciple of Jueshan sect exclaimed in shock, unable to believe that basic swordsmanship could have such power. There's nothing impossible, it's just that you haven't seen anything. Upon hearing the disciple's shock, Xiao Chen calmly replied, then swept out a sword and directly defeated the disciple. Successfully defeated one person, and there were no surprises in the following situation. In less than 15 minutes, 6 disciples of Jueshan sect were swept by Xiao Chen with a strong force. 6 people working together failed to capture Xiao Chen. At this moment, only Shenming was left on the side of Jueshan sect. Looking at the people lying on the ground howling, Shenming's face darkened. At the same time, Xiao Chen spoke calmly. The boring fun has come to an end. I can assume that nothing has happened now, but if you still don't know what's going on, the next time it won't be as simple as getting injured. Xiao Chen's words were clearly meant for Shenming. Upon hearing them, Shenming immediately became furious. What did this mean? He didn't even take himself seriously, seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Direct Killing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Direct Slaying. From the appearance of Xiao Chen, in just half an hour, he remained very indifferent from beginning to end, as if Jueshan sect was just an ant in his eyes. I am very unhappy with Xiao Chen's attitude. I think Shenming, who is one of the top 10 disciples of the Jueshan sect and deeply loved by the sect, has been looked down upon by a descendant of a noble family. He is furious, and Shenming's ring in his hand also flashes, and a battle sword appears in his hand. Holding a war knife, Shenming strode up to Xiao Chen with a fierce intent in his eyes. Seeing Shenming's appearance, Xiao Chen gently swung his long sword, causing the blood on the sword to fly away. Then, the sword pointed diagonally at the ground, and his face remained calm. Do you really think I dare not kill the people of Jueshan sect? I have already tried to persuade him well, but Shenming still refuses to let go. As a result, Xiao Chen gradually felt a sense of annihilation in his heart. Jueshan sect is very strong and is known as the strongest sect in Lingshan County. In fact, its strength is far beyond that of the Xiao family. However, if it is only because of this that he feels afraid to kill Jueshan sect's disciples, then it is a big mistake. I had originally planned to persuade Jueshan sect to retreat first, and then slowly clean up the Chen and Ma families, but now it seems that it's better to clean up together with Jueshan sect. Upon realizing this, Xiao Chen took the initiative to launch an attack. With a fierce thrust of his long sword in his hand, the sword light flickered. Faced with Xiao Chen's attack, Shenming's eyelids jumped and he raised his sword horizontally. Although he successfully blocked Xiao Chen's sword, the tremendous force still made Shenming unable to resist taking a few steps back. The power was immense, and even now, Shenming finally saw Xiao Chen's true cultivation clearly, with an incredulous expression on his face and a shocked tone. You have also broken through to the yellow extreme realm. In the real battle, Shenming finally felt Xiao Chen's cultivation, just like himself, both were beginners in the yellow extreme realm. The same cultivation level, but the age difference between the two is exactly 10 years. At the age of 18, they reached the beginner level of the yellow extreme realm. Such a cultivation speed, not to mention the Lingshan County city, even if placed in the Jueshan sect, no one can achieve it. When Xiao Chen left Lingshan County city 3 years ago, he had just broken through the Kaimai realm. However, when he returned 3 years later, he had already entered the Huangji realm. It was as disgusting as eating a fly. Previously, Shen Ming only thought that Xiao Chen was just a somewhat famous genius, but now, this is no genius, it's simply a demon. Seeing the change in Shen Ming's expression, Xiao Chen remained calm and said, "Is it surprising that the 18-year-old Huangji Jing beginner is here? In the place where I am now, such people are everywhere." Xiao Chen's talent shocked Shen Ming, but for Xiao Chen himself, at the age of 18, he entered the Huangji realm. This is not a strange thing, at least there are many people around Xiao Chen who achieved the yellow extreme realm at the age of 19 or 20. As the words fell, Xiao Chen made another move, reaching the same level of cultivation, but their combat power differed by 108,000 miles. As he fought fiercely, Xiao Chen's face showed a hint of disappointment as he said, "Weak, too weak. Your swordsmanship is full of loopholes, your wrist is weak, and your cultivation in the yellow extreme realm is simply too weak." Completely suppressed and beaten by Xiao Chen, Shen Ming's anger kept rising. He knew that if this continued, he would eventually lose and had no choice but to gamble. The spiritual power inside the body increased crazily, and the sword was raised high above the head. With a fierce slash, he shouted angrily in his mouth, "The 100 Battles Ultimate Saber." He directly unleashed his strongest strike, the 100 Battles Ultimate Blade, which is a top-notch martial art with tremendous power. Martial arts can be divided into ordinary martial arts, Xuanwu martial arts, earthly martial arts, and heavenly martial arts, which are further divided into lower grade, middle grade, and upper grade. The 100 Battles Ultimate Sword that Shen Ming is currently using is already the most advanced ordinary martial arts skill. Generally, Xuanwu skill can only be practiced when reaching the Shenyuan realm, while the highest level martial arts skill that Huangji realm warriors can use is the top-grade ordinary martial arts skill. With a grand momentum, the blade had just condensed, and a breathtaking aura spread out. Everyone around him changed their color, but only Xiao Chen remained calm. High-quality martial arts, the power is indeed not to be underestimated, but it is obvious that Shen Ming has not yet mastered this set of martial arts, and at most, it is just an entry-level skill. Martial arts are not only classified into levels, but also into 4 levels based on each person's level of mastery. Beginner, Mastery, Perfection, and Transformation. The higher the level of mastery of the same set of martial arts skills, the greater the power naturally becomes. At this time, Shen Ming's 100 Battles Ultimate Blade, although it is a set of top-quality martial arts skills, unfortunately, it is only then that he can truly master it to the level he has just entered. The top-notch martial arts skills that have just entered the realm are equally unbeatable in Xiao Chen's eyes. There was no intention of avoiding it either. The long sword in Xiao Chen's hand suddenly burst into a white light, and then the blade swept across the sky, enveloping Shen Ming with a white sword light. At the same time, in an instant, it defeated Shen Ming's 100 Battle Sword. The Perfect Realm, the top-notch martial arts of the Perfect Realm. Xiao Chen also used a set of top-notch martial arts, but he had already reached the Perfect Realm. With the same level of martial arts, one was a newcomer and the other was perfect, and their power naturally differed greatly. With ease, he defeated Shen Ming's 100 Battles Ultimate Sword. Xiao Chen sheathed his sword and whispered softly, "Sword Shadow Kill." As Xiao Chen's words fell, the sword shadows in the sky slowly disappeared. Then, a body covered in wounds descended from the sky, and it was Shen Ming who was shrouded in the sword shadows. As Xiao Chen said, the next time it won't be as simple as getting injured. Indeed, this time, Xiao Chen didn't stay any longer, directly resulting in Shen Ming's life. Since he didn't leave, let's stay forever. With a muffled bang, Shen Ming's body fell to the ground fiercely. Accompanied by this muffled sound, everyone's hearts suddenly surged. Dead, Shen Ming, who was one of the top 10 disciples of the Jueshan sect, has died. However, Xiao Chen actually dares to kill Jueshan sect disciples, and he is not an ordinary disciple. Everyone looked at Shen Ming with a ghostly expression, eerily quiet. After a while, Chen Muxue regained consciousness and withdrew her gaze from Shen Ming's body, speaking to Xiao Chen with an incredulous expression. You! How dare you kill Shen Ming? Do you know what Shen Ming's identity is in the Jueshan sect? You're done, and the Xiao family is also done. Jueshan sect will never let you go, and there's also the Xiao family. Chen Muxue never expected that Xiao Chen would dare to kill someone. After all, Shen Ming's identity was definitely not something that the Xiao family dared to offend. Ordinary disciples may have room for redemption, but among the top 10 inner disciples, Jueshan sect will definitely not give up easily. Faced with Chen Muxue's shock, Xiao Chen ignored it and calmly replied, Jueshan sect. So what? Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Friends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Friends. Xiao Chen's indifferent response made Chen Muxue laugh back angrily. Okay, you're arrogant now. I want to see if you're still so crazy when Elder Jueshan sect arrives. I forgot to tell you that this time, Jueshan sect has specially sent an elder to accompany you. Now this elder is in the prince's mansion of Lingshan County. In order to overthrow the Xiao family this time, Chen Muxue made all necessary preparations, even willing to let Shen Ming invite an elder from Jueshan sect to accompany him, just in case. However, Chen Muxue was unaware that the elder accompanying him was actually Shen Ming's grandfather, named Shen Gaoyuan. After killing Shen Ming, it was confirmed that Xiao Chen was dead. Upon hearing Chen Muxue's words, everyone in the Xiao family showed concern, especially Xiao Qing. He quickly walked up to Xiao Chen and said to him, Chener, hurry up. Before Elder Jueshan arrives, hurry up. Tell Xiao Chen to leave as soon as possible, otherwise he won't be able to leave when Elder Jueshan arrives. Feeling anxious, however, just as Xiao Qing finished speaking, a cold shout came from outside the Xiao family gate, Can you leave? The voice was filled with coldness, and then an old man with white hair walked into the Xiao family mansion first, followed closely by the prince of Lingshan County. The old man is naturally Shen Gaoyuan, the elder of Jueshan sect. As for the prince of Lingshan County, named Zhang Chang, he followed Shen Gaoyuan with a complicated expression. I didn't expect Shen Gaoyuan to come so quickly. When Shen Gaoyuan appeared, the Chen and Ma families all bowed and shouted, Elder Shen. He was extremely polite to Shen Gaoyuan, and there was nothing he could do. He was the elder of Jueshan sect, not to mention the three major families. Even the Lingshan County prince's mansion dared not offend him. With a proud expression, he walked into the mansion of the Xiao family. Originally, Shen Gaoyuan came here only because it had been too long and he had lost patience. He planned to personally come and see how things were progressing, without knowing about Shen Ming being killed by Xiao Chen. However, when Shen Gaoyuan saw Shen Ming's body, his body immediately froze on the spot. He then approached Shen Ming's body without saying a word, his turbid eyes incredulously looking at his grandson's body. After a long silence, a terrifying aura erupted from Shen Gaoyuan's body. Being able to become the elder of Jueshan sect, Shen Gaoyuan's cultivation level has reached the level of the earth mirror, and his cultivation level is far beyond the comparison of everyone present. Anger surged, and Shen Ming was Shen Gaoyuan's only relative. He had been following Shen Gaoyuan since childhood. Seeing Shen Ming being killed at this moment, how could Shen Gaoyuan not be angry? Who killed Ming'er, who? Shen Gaoyuan shouted angrily as his gaze fixed on Shen Ming's body. Feeling the terrifying killing intent of Shen Gaoyuan, the Lingshan County prince beside him had a complex expression and didn't know what to say. He understood that Shen Gaoyuan would definitely not give up easily now. Compared to Shen Gaoyuan's anger, everyone in the Xiao family looked as if they were dead ashes. Originally, Xiao Chen's appearance brought them hope, but Shen Gaoyuan's killing intent once again drove them to the bottom. This is the elder of Jueshan sect, a powerful figure who ranks among the top in the entire Lingshan county. How can the Xiao family bear the towering anger of such a powerful figure? Chener, listen to your father's words, hurry up and leave the Green Mountains behind, not afraid of not having firewood to burn. There is no intention of fighting against Shen Gaoyuan at all. The two are not on the same level and have no strength to fight, Xiao Qin whispered to Xiao Chen beside him. For the sake of the present plan, we can only ensure that Xiao Chen leaves safely. However, just as Xiao Qin signaled for Xiao Chen to leave quickly, Chen Muxue spoke up first. Elder Shen, senior brother was killed by Xiao Chen of the Xiao family. Xiao Chen. Upon hearing Chen Mushue's words, Shen Gaoyuan was taken aback. The real dragon of the Xiao family. He's back. The genius that Jueshan sect has been searching for, who is preparing to make an exception and accept him as a disciple, has returned after 3 years. I didn't expect Xiao Chen to come back at this time, but so what? He killed his grandson, even the heavenly king in Laozi would have to die. Without anyone to point out, Shen Gaoyuan's gaze fell directly on Xiao Chen, with a killing intent in his eyes like 2 sharp swords, piercing him directly. Watched by Shen Gaoyuan, Xiao Chen did not dodge or panic as he had imagined, and his face remained calm. Slowly approaching Shen Gaoyuan, Xiao Chen said calmly, I have already given him a chance, but unfortunately he didn't want to. It was like talking about something extremely ordinary, with an indifferent expression and a calm tone. However, upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Shen Gaoyuan was completely angry. Okay, what a real dragon from the Xiao family. Don't you think you can do whatever you want with some talents? Today, I will tell you that in front of me, your ridiculous talent is just a floating cloud. If you kill Ming'er, I will make your life worse than death. Xiao Chen did not show any fear, which once again ignited Shen Gaoyuan's anger. He had decided that no matter how talented Xiao Chen was, he would kill him today. The killing intent exploded, and witnessing the scene of Xiao Chen and Shen Gaoyuan staring at each other, seeing Xiao Chen's calm gaze as usual, the Chen and Ma families beside him were all puzzled. Where did this guy come from? You know, what's in front of him now is not some disciples of the Jueshan sect, but the elders of the Jueshan sect. The strong cultivator of the Di Ming Jing, with a stomp of his foot, the entire Lingshan county will tremble 3 times. I don't understand where Xiao Chen came from. Facing Shen Gaoyuan like this, even though Xiao Chen now has an entry-level cultivation in the Yellow Extreme Realm, Shen Gaoyuan is a character who has been practicing for hundreds of years. A single slap is enough to kill Xiao Chen. Is it foolish, innocent, or truly confident in resisting Shen Gaoyuan? Just as everyone was puzzled, several figures strode in outside the Xiao family gate. There are a total of 7 people, including men and women, around the age of 20, each with a majestic appearance. The men are handsome, while the women are unparalleled. As soon as these 7 young men and women entered the Xiao family, they immediately attracted the attention of everyone. It is not difficult to judge from the temperament of these 7 young people. They are definitely not ordinary people, and how can ordinary people have such temperament? I don't know the identities of the 7 people, nor do I know why they appeared here. However, soon, a young man in a golden robe, who was the leader of the 7, walked up quickly when he saw Xiao Chen and said with a smile on his face. Xiao Chen junior brother, I finally found you. Having become familiar with Xiao Chen, upon hearing this, Xiao Chen also smiled slightly at the young man in the golden robe and said, Senior brother Mo, haven't I been home for 3 years? Yes, we know you're anxious. Oh, what happened? We chatted casually with Xiao Chen, and halfway through, the young man in the golden robe saw Shen Ming's body and asked him in confusion what had happened. It's nothing, I killed an inner disciple of Jueshan sect, Xiao Chen replied casually when asked by the young man in the golden robe. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's answer, everyone looked down upon him and made you pretend to be coerced. When we saw who could save you, we all thought that Xiao Chen was a bit too crazy. However, no one expected that after hearing Xiao Chen's words, the young man in the golden robe would say nothing. A disciple of the Jueshan sect's inner sect, kill it and then kill it. What's the point of this? Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Dongjian Pavilion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Dongjian Pavilion. He didn't even care about Xiao Chen killing a disciple of the Jueshan sect, not just this young man in a golden robe, but the other 6 people were the same. It seemed like in their eyes, what could happen if a disciple of the Jueshan sect was killed? Upon hearing the words of the young man in the golden robe, Chen Muxue beside her suddenly felt a hint of anger. Anyone could tell that these 7 people were probably friends of Xiao Chen, and what was most difficult for Chen Muxue to accept was that 2 of the girls were more beautiful than herself. The thought of such a stunning woman living by Xiao Chen's side made Chen Muxue feel a burst of irritability for no reason. Looking coldly at the young man in the golden robe, Chen Muxue said coldly, "Do you think Xiao Chen killed an ordinary disciple? He killed the top 10 inner disciples of the Jueshan sect, and he was also the grandson of Elder Shen." I just wanted to see a look of panic on the faces of Xiao Chen and others, but Chen Muxue was clearly about to be disappointed. Upon hearing her words, the young man in the golden robe gave her a faint glance and then said in a low voice, "So what about the top 10 disciples of the inner sect?" There was no panic at all, but he remained calm and composed. As the voice of the young man in the golden robe fell, before Chen Muxue could reply, Shen Gaoyuan angrily shouted, "You're arrogant." As he spoke, Shen Gaoyuan slapped directly, targeting Xiao Chen and the young man in the golden robe. Shen Gaoyuan, who had the cultivation of the earth mirror, directly took action. Xiao Chen and the young man in the golden robe naturally had no way to resist. However, just when everyone felt that the 2 were destined to die, Zhang Chang, who had not made any moves, suddenly took action. Struggling to block Shen Gaoyuan's strike, Zhang Chang was also severely injured due to his only cultivation level being the great perfection of Xianyuan realm. Regardless of their own safety, they still wanted to defend Xiao Chen and the young man in the golden robe from this blow. Faced with Zhang Chang's actions, everyone showed doubts. What was wrong with Zhang Chang? Isn't he on the side of Shen Gaoyuan? Why did they suddenly take action to protect Xiao Chen and the others? Everyone looked at Zhang Chang in confusion, not knowing why he suddenly stepped in to help Xiao Chen, which was completely different from what had been agreed upon beforehand. Faced with the puzzled gazes of the crowd, Zhang Chang ignored and disregarded his own injuries. He turned around and knelt down on both knees, respectfully calling out to the young man in the golden robe, "See Your Highness the Crown Prince." "Your Highness the Crown Prince." Upon hearing Zhang Chang's words, everyone was stunned. What was the situation? Also, Zhang Chang refers to the young man in the golden robe as His Royal Highness, and his identity is the identity of the young man in the golden robe is about to be revealed. In the entire Lingfeng kingdom, there is only one crown prince, and that is Mo Jia, the 3rd son of the current emperor. With a calm expression on his face, Mo Jia glanced at Zhang Chang kneeling on the ground and said calmly, "Get up." Upon hearing Mo Jia's words, Zhang Chang stood up and respectfully stood behind him. Earlier, when Mo Jia and his group had just appeared, Zhang Chang recognized Mo Jia. Unexpectedly, the crown prince appeared here and even met Xiao Chen. Later, Shen Gaoyuan took action, and Zhang Chang did not hesitate to take action. He joked that if Mo Jia had an accident here, he would definitely be implicated in the 9 clans. As the crown prince revealed Mo Jia's identity, everyone's gaze became extremely complicated. Originally, they thought Xiao Chen would die, but to their surprise, another Mo Jia appeared. The situation was full of twists and turns, and even the Xiao family had a feeling of being in a dream. Xiao Chen actually knew the current crown prince. Everyone was suppressed by Mo Jia's identity, including Shen Gaoyuan. At this moment, his old face was staring at Xiao Chen with a gloomy expression, and he didn't understand. Even if he was a genius, how could he possibly come into contact with characters like Mo Jie? And with Mo Jie present today, would Shen Gaoyuan dare to take action against Xiao Chen? Obviously, he dared not collide with Mo Jie, otherwise, one word from Mo Jie would be enough to completely destroy Jueshan sect. Not willing to let go of Xiao Chen like this, but with Mo Jie present, Shen Gaoyuan had to give up and clenched his fists tightly. It was evident that Shen Gaoyuan was feeling extremely uncomfortable at this moment. Just as Shen Gaoyuan was feeling extremely depressed, Xiao Chen slowly approached him and said to him calmly. Before nightfall tomorrow, I hope to receive a statement from Jueshan sect. Also, if Jueshan sect dares to do any harm to the Xiao family in the future, don't blame me for destroying Jueshan sect. Xiao Chen's tone was very plain, but what he said was very bold, destroying the Jueshan sect. Who do you think you are? If it weren't for Mo Jie being present, Shen Gaoyuan might have caused you to leave long ago. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Shen Gaoyuan was almost on the brink of explosion, being treated like this by a younger generation for the first time. However, just as Shen Gaoyuan's anger was about to explode, Xiao Chen took out a token from his ring. The token was all silver in color, with a long sword emblem on it. Seeing this token, Shen Gaoyuan's body shook violently, and then he said incredulously, "You. Are you a disciple of the East Sword Pavilion?" At a glance, Shen Gaoyuan recognized this as the disciple token of Dongjian Pavilion, and his anger instantly dissipated, replaced by a deep fear. Dongjian Pavilion, this is the strongest sect within hundreds of thousands of miles around. Even the royal family of Lingfeng Kingdom is nothing but ants in front of Dongjian Pavilion, which can be easily destroyed. A behemoth that surpassed the imperial family of Lingfeng Kingdom, no wonder Shen Gaoyuan changed so much after seeing this token. It is not an exaggeration to say that Dongjian Pavilion is the true ruler within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, with power spread throughout the top 10 empires, and Lingfeng Kingdom is just one of them. The power is immense, and furthermore, the requirements for selecting disciples in the East Sword Pavilion are extremely strict. Anyone who can enter the East Sword Pavilion is an unparalleled genius. If placed in the Jueshan sect, they can become the top disciples of the sect. This also shows how strong Xiao Chen's talent is, and how much he can be appreciated by the East Sword Pavilion. It's a bit chaotic. If Mo Jie's existence only makes Shen Gaoyuan feel depressed, then Xiao Chen's identity has already made him fearful. Not to mention killing Shen Ming, even if Xiao Chen directly kills Jueshan sect, the senior officials of Jueshan sect dare not do anything to Xiao Chen. Killing a younger brother of Dongjian Pavilion is not a consequence that Jueshan sect can afford. His face was dull, and after a while, Shen Gaoyuan seemed to suddenly realize something. His gaze involuntarily turned to Mo Jie and others behind Xiao Chen, who had just called him junior brother. So, I have guessed that they are all disciples of the East Sword Pavilion. They came together to accompany Xiao Chen this time. Taking a deep breath, Shen Gaoyuan, under the shocked gaze of everyone, actually took the initiative to salute Xiao Chen and said, "Xiao Chen, this matter was caused by our Jueshan sect's rudeness. Don't worry, our sect leader will personally come to apologize before tomorrow. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards." End of this chapter. Chapter 7. 3 Years of Time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. 3 Years of Time. Shen Gaoyuan actually took the initiative to bow his head to Xiao Chen. Seeing this, the Chen and Ma families were all stunned, and Chen Muxue collapsed to the ground. She couldn't understand why Shen Gaoyuan, as an elder of the Jueshan sect, would voluntarily bow his head to Xiao Chen with such a humble attitude. Ignoring the changes in the Chen and Ma families, Xiao Chen said calmly to Shen Gaoyuan, "There's no need to apologize at home. I just hope that Jueshan sect won't come back to trouble the Xiao family in the future. This is certain. If anyone dares to harm the Xiao family in the future, my Jueshan sect will not let him go." Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Shen Gaoyuan immediately solemnly promised. I believe that the Jueshan sect would never dare to trouble the Xiao family again. They asked Shen Gaoyuan to leave with a group of Jueshan sect disciples and Shen Ming's body. Then, Xiao Chen turned to look at the head of the Chen and Ma families and said, Why, do you still need me to take you away? Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, the Chen and Ma families dared not stop. They were unaware of the terror of Dongjian Pavilion, as they were unable to reach it at their level. However, seeing Shen Gaoyuan leave in fear, they naturally dared not have any ulterior motives. Under Xiao Chen's words, they quickly left with their own people. Quickly, the originally noisy Xiao family quieted down. The people of Jueshan sect left, as did the people of Chen and Ma families. Finally, Zhang Chang also left at the signal of Mo Jie. However, before leaving, Zhang Chang kept admitting his mistake to Xiao Qing in order to obtain his forgiveness. The crisis that was originally enough to destroy the entire Xiao family was easily resolved after the appearance of Xiao Chen. After settling down the accommodation for Mo Jie and others, Xiao Chen and Xiao Qing arrived at their mother's residence together. Xiao Chen's mother's name is Bai Ruyue. When she saw Xiao Chen, Bai Ruyue excitedly hugged him. Facing her son, who had been away from home for 3 years, Bai Ruyue's longing could be imagined. The mother and son hugged each other tightly, while Xiao Qing beside them looked at them with a smile on his face. After a long time, Bai Ruyue finally let go of Xiao Chen. The three of them sat down on the stone bench in the courtyard, staring at Xiao Chen. In 3 years, Xiao Chen had grown from a young man to a handsome young man. Chener, it has been 3 years since you left, during which you haven't even written a letter. Do you know how worried my mother is about you? There hasn't been any news from Xiao Chen for 3 years, Bai Ruyue said with some blame. Upon hearing his mother's words, Xiao Chen smiled slightly and said, Mother, haven't I come back now? Moreover, the rules of the East Sword Pavilion are very strict, and named disciples cannot contact the outside world. I came back this time because I finally became an outsider disciple, which allowed me to go out. It's not that Xiao Chen doesn't want to keep in touch with his family, but he can't. Faced with his parents, Xiao Chen didn't hide anything. He told the two of them about his experiences over the past 3 years and everything about the East Sword Pavilion. Along with Xiao Chen's narration, the Xiao Qing couple also listened attentively. 3 years ago, after leaving Lingshan County, Xiao Chen first arrived at the imperial capital of Lingfeng Kingdom. By chance, he met Crown Prince Mo Jie. Later, the two of them joined Dongjian Pavilion together and became named disciples of Dongjian Pavilion. In the East Sword Pavilion, the level is extremely strict, with core disciples, inner disciples, outer disciples, and named disciples among the disciples. No matter how talented you are or what your background is, when you join Dongjian Pavilion, you can only start with a named disciple, and then use your own efforts to gradually challenge higher level disciples. Of course, the higher the level, the more cultivation resources one can obtain, and the higher their identity. During the period of being a named disciple, one is not allowed to leave the East Sword Pavilion or communicate with the outside world. Only after becoming an external disciple can one have the opportunity to go home and visit relatives. Because of this, for 3 whole years, Xiao Chen did not contact his family. Don't think that the regulations of Dongjian Pavilion are somewhat unsatisfactory. Dongjian Pavilion is only doing this to allow named disciples to fully devote themselves to cultivation when they first join the sect. As is well known, when everyone first joins a sect, there will be an explosive period, and this explosive period must be grasped well. Also, it is from the opening meridian state to the yellow extreme state, which is a hurdle. The earlier one breaks through the yellow extreme state, the more beneficial it is for future cultivation. For example, a person who is 18 years old and a person who is 28 years old have both broken through the yellow extreme state, which seems to be the same realm. However, in future cultivation, it is definitely the person who reached the yellow extreme state at the age of 18 who has an advantage. After telling their parents everything that had happened during the past 3 years and listening to Xiao Chen's account, Xiao Qing and his wife finally realized that so many things had happened to Xiao Chen in the past 3 years. His gaze filled with pride as he looked at his son, a former youth who had grown up and not only became an outer disciple of the Dongjian Pavilion, but also broke through the Huangji realm at the age of 18. This son is the pride of the couple. After finishing his own story, Xiao Chen said to Xiao Qing again, "Father, do you have any thoughts of leaving Lingshan County? Senior brother Mo has already said that if father wants, our Xiao family can definitely go to the imperial capital. Where is it? Senior brother Mo will arrange everything." When asked if Xiao Qing had any intention of leaving Lingshan County, upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Xiao Qing fell silent for a moment, then shook his head with a smile and said, "Chinner, there's no need to go to the imperial capital. Your mother and I are already used to Lingshan County, and the imperial capital is a place of right and wrong. Even with the care of His Highness the Crown Prince, I really don't want to get stuck in this quagmire of the imperial capital. Your mother and I have a simple idea that as long as you are well, everything else is not important, and I don't have much ambition." Xiao Qing had no intention of leading the Xiao family out of Lingshan County. Therefore, Xiao Chen naturally did not force his father to leave. It was better not to leave. After this battle, no one in Lingshan County would dare to trouble the Xiao family again. In this way, Xiao Chen had no worries and could focus on cultivation in the East Sword Pavilion in the future. After everything was said, Xiao Chen stayed by his parents for the next few days. After 3 years of separation, the family cherished this brief time of reunion. The family was enjoying themselves harmoniously. During this time, Xiao Chen also met some elderly members of the Xiao family under the leadership of Xiao Qing, and gave guidance on the cultivation of the younger generation of the Xiao family. At the same time, Jueshan's sect did not break his promise. The next day, the head of Jueshan's sect personally apologized and stated on the spot that the Xiao family and Jueshan's sect would form an alliance in the future. Moreover, every year, Jueshan's sect would give the Xiao family 10 disciples without any assessment. As long as the young generation recommended by the Xiao family is eligible to enter Jueshan's sect for cultivation unconditionally, the treatment is the same as that of Jueshan's sect disciples. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The hidden dragon will finally rise from the abyss. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The hidden dragon will finally rise from the abyss. It has to be said that Jueshan's sect is determined to be bound to the Xiao family. The reason is simple, because Xiao Chen is an external disciple of the East Sword Pavilion. Jueshan's sect understands that as long as Xiao Chen does not die, the Xiao family will only get better and better. Therefore, being bound to the Xiao family at this time is the best choice for Jueshan's sect. Not only did Jueshan's sect grant the Xiao family 10 disciples a year, but they also directly expelled Chen Muxue from the sect in order to give Xiao Chen an explanation. Originally, Chen Muxue dared to take action against the Xiao family because she had joined the Jueshan sect. However, at this time, she was expelled from the sect by the Jueshan sect, and the Chen family could no longer stay in Lingshan County. I don't care about the situation of the Chen and Ma families. In Xiao Chen's view, these two families will no longer pose a threat to the Xiao family in the future, because both families have decided to leave Lingshan County. Not only because of the relationship with Jueshan sect, but also due to the contribution of Prince Zhongchang of Lingshan County. With the departure of the Chen and Ma families, the Xiao family can be said to have become the only major clan in the city of Lingshan County. Even the prince's mansion has given the Xiao family great face. Of course, all of this is because of Xiao Chen. Feeling disheveled, Chen Muxue left Lingshan County, and just as the Chen family was evacuating from Lingshan County, she met a middle-aged beautiful woman. Women are very beautiful, especially those eyes, as if they can captivate the soul. At first glance, it was evident that Chen Muxue was naturally seductive, but her seductive nature had not yet been revealed. Therefore, the beautiful woman had the idea of accepting her disciple. The beautiful woman came from the 10,000 Immortals Tower, which was also a huge creature with great power to compete with the East Sword Pavilion. Without any hesitation, Chen Muxue immediately became a disciple of the beautiful woman. She, who had already been completely hopeless, was taken away by a beautiful woman. Chen Muxue's heart was once again filled with an extreme hatred. Xiao Chen, this was a hurdle that Chen Muxue could never overcome. Before Xiao Chen regretted it, Chen Muxue's obsession would never disappear. I don't know what happened to Chen Muxue. I stayed at the Xiao family for 7 days, and on that day, Xiao Chen was also preparing to leave. After all, time was limited, and he had to return to the outside gate of the East Sword Pavilion to report. If there was a delay, it would be troublesome. Xiao Chen wants to leave, so Xiao Qing and Bai Ruiyue are naturally reluctant to part ways. However, they also know that Xiao Chen cannot stay at the Xiao family all the time. The eagle will eventually spread its wings, and the hidden dragon will always emerge from the abyss. Having left a lot of cultivation resources and elixirs for their parents, with the help of the Xiao family, Xiao Chen, Mo Jie, and other senior brothers rode red flame horses and left Lingshan County City, heading towards Dongjian Pavilion. Watching Xiao Chen's figure slowly disappear from sight, Bai Ruiyue couldn't help but shed tears. It wasn't long before they could reunite again. Knowing Bai Ruiyue's reluctance in her heart, Xiao Qingru comforted her in a soft voice. When the hidden dragon finally emerges from the abyss, and the eagle finally spreads its wings, the East Sword Pavilion is the place where Qin'er should go. Yuzi is like this, and the two of us should be proud of him. Upon hearing Xiao Qing's words, Bai Ruiyue nodded slightly. Farewell to his parents, Xiao Chen and his team rushed non-stop towards the East Sword Pavilion. There was still half a month before the grand ceremony at the outer gate, and within half a month, Xiao Chen and his team had to rush back to the East Sword Pavilion, otherwise they would lose the opportunity to enter the outer gate. The distance from Lingshan County City to Dongjian Pavilion is not short. It took a whole 13 days for everyone to arrive at Dongjian Pavilion, covered in dust and dust. Located in the Qingyun Mountains, this area has already left the territory of Lingfeng Kingdom. Looking around, a continuous mountain range crisscrosses, and Dongjian Pavilion is located at the core of this Yinlu Mountains. Returning all the way to the named disciple area of the East Sword Pavilion, there were still 2 days left before the start of the outer gate ceremony, and everyone finally caught up. Returning to his own residence, this was the place where Xiao Chen lived when he was a named disciple. They shared a room, and he and Mo Jie lived together. Lying directly on the bed, Mo Jie took a deep breath and said, "Finally, we have returned. In 2 days, we will be able to enter the outer gate and become true disciples of the outer gate." The registration system of Dongjian Pavilion is very strict, and named disciples are not considered formal disciples of Dongjian Pavilion. Only when they become external disciples can they truly be recognized by Dongjian Pavilion. Upon hearing Mo Jie's words, Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, "Senior brother, don't be in a hurry to be happy. The grand ceremony of the outer sect also requires choosing the Sword Academy. If we are not favored by the Sword Academy, we will still not be able to become disciples of the outer sect. There are a total of 9 Sword Academies outside the East Sword Pavilion, and each outer disciple needs to choose one from them. Of course, it's not just a one-sided choice. When choosing a Sword Academy, you also need to consider whether the first one looks up to you. If you don't, then you won't be able to become an outer disciple. There are 9 Sword Academies, some strong and some weak, with lower requirements for the weak. Of course, the cultivation environment is also obviously worse, while the strong naturally have high requirements, but the cultivation environment is the best. So, when choosing a Sword Academy as a new disciple, it depends on personal choices. Don't insist on choosing the strongest Sword Academy even though you don't have much talent. If you are rejected by others, it will not be worth the loss. You must position yourself properly and not aim too high. This is also one of the goals of the top management of Dongjian Pavilion. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Mo Jia smiled and said, "Which sword academy do you plan to choose, junior brother? With your talent, I'm afraid you have already made a decision. It must be the first academy. The 9 sword institutes are ranked based on their strength. The first academy is the strongest and has the best cultivation environment. Therefore, almost all external disciples want to enter the first academy for cultivation. However, the first academy has always only accepted elites. In the East Sword Pavilion where talents gather, the disciples of the first academy are the geniuses among the geniuses. The difficulty of entering the first academy is much higher than the other several sword academies. It is best not to choose the first academy without the highest talent. This is a saying passed down among many named disciples, because choosing is also a waste of time. At the beginning of each external grand ceremony, the first academy admits the least number of disciples, sometimes even not a single person. It is better to lack than to overuse. This is the requirement of the first academy. I have guessed Xiao Chen's choice, and at the age of 18, I entered the Yellow Extreme Realm. Xiao Chen's talent is recognized as the strongest among this group of named disciples. Upon hearing Mo Jia's words, Xiao Chen smiled and did not answer. However, he had already made a decision in his heart that the first courtyard was Xiao Chen's goal. I don't care how high the requirements of the first court are, nor do I care how fierce the competition is in the first court. Since there is an opportunity, naturally I have to choose the best, which is the idea in Xiao Chen's heart. A decision had already been made in their hearts, and everyone was patiently waiting for the start of the outer gate ceremony. 2 days passed in a blink of an eye. In the early morning of that day, the sky had just begun to light up, and the designated disciple area became lively. All the designated disciples who met the requirements walked towards the peak where the outer gate was located. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Strongest Court. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The strongest court. The outer gate of Dongjian Pavilion occupies a total of 9 peaks, with each sword occupying 1. Today, the first step in the grand ceremony of the outer gate is to choose the Sword Academy. All registered disciples who meet the requirements, according to their chosen Sword Academy, climb the corresponding mountain peaks, and then pass the assessment, can join the Sword Academy. Thousands of named disciples rush towards the 9 peaks in the outer courtyard. It must be said that the reason why Dongjian Pavilion could become the absolute hegemon within hundreds of thousands of miles nearby was not without reason. It was just a named disciple, but everyone's cultivation had reached the Yellow Extreme Realm, and their age was not over 25 years old. This is also the minimum requirement of Dongjian Pavilion. Before the age of 25, one must reach the Huangji realm, otherwise they do not even have the qualification to become an external disciple. Think about Shen Ming, who was already one of the top 10 disciples of the inner sect in the Jueshan sect, but still only reached the Huangji realm at the age of 28. Nevertheless, Shen Ming can be considered a top-notch genius in the Jueshan sect. However, in the Dongjian Pavilion, he did not even have the opportunity to enter the outer sect. There is indeed a distinction between clouds and mud, and Dongjian Pavilion is indeed a gathering place for talents. The young talents of the top 10 empires around them all take pride in being able to enter Dongjian Pavilion. Along with Mo Jia and others, Xiao Chen also rushed towards the 9 peaks in the outer courtyard. Along the way, many named disciples unconsciously turned their gaze to Xiao Chen. They had no choice but to break through to the Huangji realm at the age of 18. Xiao Chen's talent made him the most dazzling presence among this group of named disciples. Which sword academy would Xiao Chen choose? It's needless to say, of course it's the first hospital. At the age of 18, I reached the Yellow Extreme Realm and already met the requirements of the first hospital. I don't think so. The requirements of the first academy are too strict. Although Xiao Chen's cultivation speed is very fast, it may still be difficult to join the first academy based on this. Don't say these are useless anymore. We don't have a chance for the first court. I plan to choose the 8th court and hope to pass. Many people were secretly watching Xiao Chen and whispering their opinions, but in the face of everyone's gaze, Xiao Chen remained calm and walked all the way to the foot of the 9 peaks in the outer courtyard. Xiao Chen smiled at Mo Jia and others. Senior brothers and sisters, goodbye outside. Well, goodbye outside. Junior brother Xiao Chen, don't embarrass us. We must pass the assessment of the first academy. The 7 people who followed him back to Lingshan County were still the ones who had the closest relationship with Xiao Chen. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, one of the girls smiled coquettishly and said to him, "They don't dare to choose the first courtyard like Xiao Chen, there's no other way. The requirements of the first courtyard are too high. Except for Xiao Chen, no second person among these named disciples dares to choose the first courtyard. They all choose the second courtyard." Smiling and nodding at the crowd, Xiao Chen then kicked directly towards the peak where the first academy was located. Unlike the peaks where other academies were located, on the road to the peak of the first academy, only Xiao Chen was there. Obviously, among the same group of named disciples, only Xiao Chen chose the first academy. Watching Xiao Chen push towards the peak of the first courtyard, many people looked admiring. The first courtyard, the strongest sword academy in the outer courtyard, had all its disciples who were geniuses. Moreover, according to legend, the disciples of this first courtyard held a position in the sect no weaker than some ordinary inner disciples, and their cultivation resources were completely distributed according to the average inner disciples. I envy the cultivation environment of the first academy very much, but envy is useless because ordinary geniuses cannot enter this first academy. Even if they get lucky enough to enter, it is difficult to survive in the first academy. After all, people are like birds of a feather, and you put a sheep in a group of lions to live, and the result is predictable. Without paying attention to everyone's gaze, Xiao Chen's figure walked towards the top of the first courtyard mountain, feeling somewhat lonely. The journey of martial arts is bound to be lonely, and Xiao Chen has long experienced this. When he was a child in the Xiao family and his peers were still in the foundation building realm, Xiao Chen had already reached the pulse opening realm. His peers could not keep up with Xiao Chen's footsteps. Therefore, at the age of 15, Xiao Chen chose to go out alone to experience, because continuing to stay in the Xiao family would only constrain his own progress speed. Looking at Xiao Chen's somewhat lonely figure, Mo Jia at the foot of the first courtyard mountain sighed and said, "I don't know how long we can still chase after Xiao Chen's junior brother. Maybe it won't be long, so we can only look up to him. Xiao Chen's progress speed is too fast, even a heavenly pride like Mo Jia can't keep up with it." Upon hearing Mo Jia's words, the beautiful girl who had spoken earlier smiled slightly and said, "How could the crown prince of Lingfeng Kingdom be so self-deprecating? Junior brother Xiao Chen has made rapid progress, so we must work even harder. We don't want to catch up with him, as long as we don't get too far away from him. I don't want to have to look up to junior brother Xiao Chen from afar in the future." This girl's name is Qin Shuru. She has just turned 20 years old this year, and her talent is definitely not weak, but compared to Xiao Chen, there is still a gap. As she spoke, Qin Shuru's eyes were filled with determination. Upon hearing her words, Mo Jia shook his head with a bitter smile. They all knew that Qin Shuru had always been secretly in love with Xiao Chen. Therefore, if she had to watch Xiao Chen go further and further, and she could only look up to him, Qin Shuru would definitely find it difficult to accept. Not knowing the thoughts of Mo Jia and others, as a lonely person, Xiao Chen quickly climbed to the top of the first courtyard. In front of the gate, 2 men and women dressed in the attire of the disciples of the first academy stopped Xiao Chen. As disciples of the first academy, in order to show their identity, their outer disciples' attire was different from that of the other 8 sword academies. The disciples of the other 8 sword academies have a silver long sword embroidery on their chest, while the one from the first academy has a gold long sword embroidery. Just look at this embroidery to know if you are from the first academy. If you're over 20 years old, let's go. My first courtyard doesn't accept disciples over 20 years old, said the male disciple with an indifferent expression as he saw Xiao Chen walking slowly. The first requirement is extremely strict. The first courtyard only admits people under the age of 20. In other words, if you want to enter the first courtyard, the basic requirement is to break through to the yellow extreme realm before the age of 20. This alone is enough to stop 99% of geniuses. Without paying attention to the attitude of the male disciple, Xiao Chen stopped and saluted the two senior brothers and sisters. Junior brother Xiao Chen just turned 18 this year. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, the two of them were clearly stunned. The 18-year-old Huang jigging martial artist was also rare in the first courtyard. At that moment, their faces also softened, and the female disciple smiled and said to Xiao Chen, "So you are junior brother Xiao Chen, and we didn't guess wrong. You really chose the first hospital. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards." End of this chapter. 10, Chapter 10 Basic Testing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Basic Testing. Xiao Chen's name not only spread among the named disciples, but also among the 9 courtyards of the outer gate. Even before the start of the outer gate ceremony, many people speculated that Xiao Chen would definitely choose the first courtyard. As expected, Xiao Chen arrived. At the age of 18, she reached the beginner level of the yellow extreme realm and fully met the basic requirements. Currently, this female disciple personally led Xiao Chen into the first courtyard. Unlike other sword academies, the first academy appears somewhat deserted, but this is also normal. According to the requirements of the first academy, there are only a few people who can become disciples of the first academy. Along the way to the main hall of the first courtyard, this girl also briefly introduced the situation of the first courtyard to Xiao Chen. The girl's name is Chen Linger. She is 22 years old this year, and her cultivation has reached the level of little perfection in the yellow extreme realm. From Chen Linger's mouth, Xiao Chen learned that there are currently a total of 160 disciples in the first courtyard. If Xiao Chen can pass the assessment this time, he will become the 161st disciple. It has to be said that the number of over 100 disciples is indeed too small, while the number of other sword academies is at least 1,000 or more. However, it also proves from another perspective that the requirements of this first academy are strict. It is not a genius among geniuses, and the first academy will definitely not accept them. All the way to the main hall of the first courtyard, when Xiao Chen and his companions arrived, an elder from the first courtyard was already waiting here. Middle-aged, dressed in a simple blue robe, Chen Linger bowed to the elder and said, "Elder Mu, this is Xiao Chen. He is 18 years old and has entered the Huangji realm. He has chosen my first courtyard." Upon hearing Chen Linger's words, Elder Mu nodded lightly and then looked up and down at Xiao Chen. He has also heard of Xiao Chen's name, and as the most outstanding member of this group of named disciples, as the elder of the first academy, he naturally pays attention. "I will be the host of this assessment, Xiao Chen. To put it bluntly, although you have outstanding talent, it does not mean that you can pass the assessment of the first academy. If you fail, you will not even be able to enter other sword academies. You have missed out on this blessed opportunity. Before starting, I will give you another chance to consider. Are you sure you want to choose my first academy?" After observing Xiao Chen for a while, Elder Mu slowly said. During the outer gate ceremony, everyone only had one chance to choose the sword academy. If they failed, they would lose the opportunity to become disciples of the outer gate of the East Sword Pavilion. Upon hearing Elder Mu's words, Xiao Chen nodded without any hesitation and replied, "Thank you for Elder's reminder. I have already made a decision in my heart, so there is no need to think further. I had already thought about it before coming, that this outer gate first courtyard was my own place. In the East Sword Pavilion, where geniuses are everywhere, the first courtyard is undoubtedly the place where dragons compete for dominance. Therefore, Xiao Chen naturally wants to come and compete. In this gathering place of true geniuses, he will shine his own light and write a legend of his own. Without any hesitation, his gaze was resolute and clear. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's answer, Elder Mu nodded in satisfaction. As a disciple of the First Academy, talent is important, but character is equally important. If you don't even have this confidence, how should you become a disciple of the First Academy? My first impression of Xiao Chen was very good, and the next step is to start the assessment. The assessment of the entire first hospital is divided into 2 steps, with the first step being the basic test. The foundation is always the most important. If a person fails to lay a solid foundation in the realm of foundation building and pulse opening, even if they break through to the yellow pole realm, it is just superficial. Taking out a fist-sized jade stone from his ring, Elder Mu said, "This stone is called the basic test stone. Injecting one's spiritual power into it, this stone will light up different lights according to the firmness of the foundation, from low to high. White light, green light, blue light, purple light, and gold light. Only those who reach the purple light can be considered qualified." Speaking slowly to Xiao Chen about the requirements of the test, just as Elder Mu was speaking, dozens of disciples from the first court had already gathered outside the main hall. The number of disciples in the first courtyard was originally small, and these dozens of people gathered at this time can be considered nearly half of the disciples in the first courtyard. They are all here to see what abilities this person may have as a new disciple of the first courtyard. Under the attention of everyone, Xiao Chen's right hand slowly imprinted on the basic test stone, and then his spiritual power poured into it. Then, a bright light indeed emanated from the stone. Firstly, the white light quickly transformed into green light, then blue light, and finally reached purple light. The appearance of purple light meant that Xiao Chen's foundation had already met the requirements of the first court. However, this was not over yet. After the purple light emitted, a faint golden light appeared. In just over 10 seconds, all the purple light faded away and replaced it with a dazzling golden light. Golden light, this. Does it mean that another extreme foundation builder will appear in my first courtyard? Seeing the golden light shining, many disciples of the first courtyard changed their faces slightly. They were all geniuses among the geniuses, but those who could reach the golden light, which is the ultimate foundation building, were only 3 people in the entire first courtyard so far. Even with Xiao Chen, there were only 4 people. Extreme foundation construction, even from the perspective of these true geniuses in the first courtyard, they all have some envy. Like everyone else, seeing the golden light shining, Elder Mu's eyes also flashed with excitement. The 4th genius in extreme foundation construction is the ultimate pride that the first courtyard truly needs. The basic testing stone test is completed. Xiao Chen built the foundation to the limit and naturally passed the level perfectly. The next step is to test the basic swordsmanship, which requires reaching the realm of transformation. Just like the foundation of cultivation, the foundation of swordsmanship is also extremely important. Although the moves of basic swordsmanship are simple, almost every set of swordsmanship can be said to have evolved from basic swordsmanship. Only by truly mastering basic swordsmanship to the limit can one become an excellent swordsman. Xiao Chen didn't say much about the basic swordsmanship required to reach the realm of transformation. He directly displayed the basic swordsmanship in front of everyone. Simple basic sword techniques such as stabbing, picking, splitting, teasing, hanging, etc. were used one by Xiao Chen. The seemingly simple moves in Xiao Chen's hands showed a different side, and this feeling can only be possessed after reaching the realm of transformation. The limit of transformation, not bad, not bad. In 2 consecutive assessments, Xiao Chen passed perfectly, building the foundation to the limit and transforming the realm to the limit. Whether it was based on cultivation or swordsmanship, Xiao Chen almost achieved perfection. Even Elder Mu, who had cultivation in the heaven and human realm, couldn't find any flaws. This person's name is Xiao Chen, building the foundation to the extreme and transforming the realm to the extreme. It's not easy. It seems that this first courtyard will become lively again. Humph, a new disciple, even if he has some talent, he can handle it. At least for a year, he will have to hold on to a dragon and a tiger. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, seeking rewards. End of this chapter.